Hello, second graders. Happy Thursday. Today's book is called The Little Fisherman. And it's a fish story by Margaret Wise Brown. She also wrote the Runaway Bunny and Goodnight Moon. Here we go. Once there was a great big fisherman and a little fisherman. They sailed boats. Only the big fisherman sailed a big boat, and the little fisherman sailed a little boat. The big fisherman had big sailors on his boat, big sailors with big ropes and big buckets and big scrub brushes and big fish nets and big hammocks that they slept in at night. But the little fisherman had little sailors on his boat, little sailors with little ropes and little buckets and little scrub brushes and little fish nets and little hammocks that they slept in at night. Very early in the morning, just as the sun rose out of the sea, they went fishing. "Cast off," shouted the big fisherman, and he pulled up his anchor and hoisted his sail. "Cast off," shouted the little fisherman, and he pulled up his little anchor and hoisted his little sail. The wind blew up behind them and blew their boats away over the sea. They sailed over big waves and little waves. Big birds and little birds flew over them. Big porpoises and little flying fish and seals leapt out of the water into the air beside them. They sailed and sailed till the land behind them was out of sight, and only the sea and the sky were all around them, the blue sea and the blue sky. Down below in the fishing grounds, the fish swam among the shadowy ledges of the sea. The big fisherman heaved overboard a rope and a big piece of lead on the end of it to see how far the bottom of the ocean was. Thud! The lead struck a rock on the bottom of the sea. The rope curled in the water. "Not too deep and not too shallow. Here is where I will fish," said the big fisherman. "Lower away," and his sailors lowered the big fish net into the sea. Then up sailed the little fisherman and stopped his boat. He threw his little head over in it, saying, deeper and deeper into the deep blue sea. "Oh," said the little fisherman, "this is too deep for me." So he sailed a little farther and dropped his little lead. Click! The lead hit a rock at the bottom of the sea. The rope curled in the water. "Here is where I will fish," said the little fisherman. Heave away, and his little sailors heaved his little fish net into the sea. For 7 days they fished for fish, and they slept in their hammocks at night. They threw their nets over and pulled the fish in. They threw their nets over and pulled the fish in, and they fished for the fish in the sea. Hundreds of great big fish swam into the big fisherman's net. Thousands of little fish swam into the little fisherman's net. Thousands of little tiny, silvery, shiny, wet, and dripping, flipping, flapping fish. The big fisherman's boat was so full of fish that it sank low in the water. "Pull in the nets and head for home," shouted the big fisherman. The little fisherman's boat was so full of fish that it sank low in the water. "Pull in the nets and head for home," shouted the little fisherman. The big fisherman sailed over big waves on a very big ocean, and the little fisherman sailed over little waves on a very big ocean. There's no such thing as a little ocean. The ocean is always big. And the wind blew behind them and sailed their sails. And pretty soon they got there, home. And the people who wanted big fish bought the big fisherman's fish, and the people who wanted little fish bought the little fisherman's fish. And then the big fisherman put his hands in his pockets and went home, and the little fisherman put his hands in his pocket and went home. The big fisherman went into his big house where his big family was waiting for him to have supper, and he took off his big boots. And the little fisherman went into his little house where his little family were waiting for him to have supper, and he took off his little boots. Then the big fisherman told his children a very little fish story, and the little fisherman told his children a great big fish story. And that is the end of that. All right, guys, Have a great day. I hope you go outside and play, have fun, and tell me in the comments something that you noticed about this book or your favorite part. All right, I miss you guys. Bye.